Hey, welcome. So we've all heard that your youth is the time to make mistakes, right? But what if those mistakes have a price tag? One that doesn't show up for 10, maybe 20 years. Today, we're digging into the 10 biggest regrets people have from their younger years. And look, this isn't about scaring you, not at all. It's about giving you the tools to plant seeds for a future you'll actually be proud to live in. Let's get into it.
This quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of what we're talking about. Every choice you make today, all the fun, the shortcuts, the rebellion, it all has a cost. But here's the catch. You don't really pay the price. A future version of you does. A stranger who has to deal with the consequences of decisions made by a kid they can barely even recognize anymore. It's a pretty intense way to think about it, right?
All right, so we've broken these regrets down into 4 main areas. First, we're going to talk about the regrets of the foundation. These are the real building blocks of your life. Then, we'll dive into the regrets of connection, which is all about the people who matter most. After that, we'll hit the regrets of impulse. You know, those split-second choices that have huge consequences. And finally, we're going to uncover the one true regret that kind of connects them all.
Okay, first up, regrets of the foundation. Think of these as the big ones. Your health, your education, your finances, they form the bedrock for everything else you're going to do in life. And if you get these wrong, well, it's kind of like trying to build a house on sand.
So inside this section, we're looking at 3 really common traps. First, that temptation to just blow off school. Second, the myth that you're invincible and your health can take anything. And third, the super sneaky but incredibly powerful trap of getting into debt early on.
Let's kick things off with school. So this is Sarah. In her senior year, she figured skipping class was just cool, rebellious. It felt good for a minute. But the reality check came hard and fast in her first year of college. She was totally unprepared, and that little bit of fun turned into a whole year of anxiety and desperately trying to catch up.
And this chart just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the instant reward, feeling like a rebel, having fun. But the other side, that's the real bill. A whole year of stress, feeling like you're constantly behind. In hindsight, it's a trade-off that pretty much nobody would ever make willingly.
Next up, health. You know the feeling. You're young, you think your body can just bounce back from anything. Maya's story is a perfect example. Her diet in her late teens was pretty much just energy drinks and fast food. The result? By her early 20s, she felt exhausted all the time, like her body was years older than it actually was. The point is, those health habits you build when you're young, they're like a debt your body eventually has to pay back.
And that leads us right into money. The source material puts this so bluntly, but it's spot on. That first credit card offer in the mail, it feels like you've just been handed free cash, a key to freedom. But high-interest debt is the exact opposite. It quickly turns into a set of chains, limiting your choices and what you can do for years and years to come.
Let's move on to our second category, regrets of connection. Because, if those foundational choices are the bedrock of our lives, then our relationships are the walls and the roof. And the mistakes we make here, they often leave the deepest, longest-lasting emotional scars.
The 3 main regrets in this bucket are all deeply connected. First, there's getting into a super intense relationship before you even know who you are. Second, letting that one relationship completely take over your life, pushing all your friends to the side. And finally, creating a huge distance between you and your family, your most stable support system.
And we're back to Sarah's story, because it just captures 2 of these regrets so perfectly. She poured every ounce of her energy into one high school relationship. In the process, she let her friendships just fade away. So when that relationship finally ended, which it was bound to do, she found herself completely and utterly alone. She hadn't just lost a boyfriend, she'd lost her entire support network. And this might be the most painful regret of them all. This is Martha looking back from age 72. She remembers this incredibly turbulent relationship she had with her mom. At the time, all that anger and fighting felt so important, so justified. But when she was finally an adult and ready to fix things, it was too late. Her mom was gone. That's a forever kind of regret, and man, it's a powerful reminder of what's truly irreplaceable in our lives. Okay, our third section is all about regrets of impulse. We're talking about those short-sighted decisions, things you do in a single moment that can end up casting a surprisingly long shadow over your entire future. So here, we're going to look at 3 classic impulsive mistakes. Using substances to escape, creating a permanent digital record of yourself you can never ever erase, and burning bridges with people, not realizing just how small the world can be. First off, substances. A lot of the time, the motivation is social, right? You're trying to fit in, or you're trying to escape from some pressure. But the source makes this really key distinction. What starts out as a temporary escape can so easily become a permanent anchor, holding you back right when you need to be moving forward the most.
This timeline just paints a perfect, terrifying picture of the danger. At 16, you post something you and your friends think is hilarious. 5 years go by. Then, a potential employer does a quick search on your name, and just like that, a door to your future slams shut because of one dumb moment you'd totally forgotten about. The internet really, truly does not have a delete button.
And finally, the impulse to just be unkind. It's so easy to be dismissive or even cruel when you're young, thinking you'll never see these people again. But, as Martha wisely points out, the world is small. Treating people with kindness isn't just about being a good person, it's a strategic investment in your own future. And that brings us to our final section. This is the big one, the one that really ties everything else together. This is what our source material calls the ultimate regret, the one mistake that sits underneath so many of the others, simply losing yourself.
So, before we jump into this last regret, we have to define this key idea, the authentic self. Just think of it as the core of who you really are once you strip away all the social pressure and what everyone else expects of you. It's the you that shows up when there's no one else around to impress or to please.
And there it is, the final regret, put perfectly by Martha. It's the danger of trying so hard to be someone you're not. You spend years wearing all these different masks to please your friends or your boyfriend or your parents, and then one day you wake up, you look in the mirror, and you have no idea which face is actually yours. This loss of self, it's the most profound regret of all, because it ends up poisoning everything else.
So it's worth just pausing for a second to ask yourself that question, straight up. When you take away all the outside expectations, which face is really yours?
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? Really, it comes down to a simple but huge shift in how you see things. Like Martha says, youth isn't just a time for harvesting fun and experiences. It's the primary season for planting the seeds of the person you actually want to become. The most crucial point is this. Every single decision you make, from how you study, to who you love, to how you treat other people, every one of them is a seed. You are actively landscaping your own future. The only question is whether that stranger you're becoming is going to wake up in a garden or a wasteland.
And that leaves us with one last essential question. This isn't about being scared of the future or beating yourself up over past mistakes. It's about right now. Looking at your life, with everything we've just talked about in mind, what seeds will you plant today?